Hi folks, welcome back to Atebeno Park. Today I'm going to be building a place for the second confirmed dinosaur in beta, Pachyrhinosaurus. I started this habitat with the usual painting of the space it was going to occupy, and by expanding the Styracosaurus care building to include a shelter for the Pachyrhinosaurus. And it has a similar access for the keepers into that shelter space, and you can see I've added the access doors as well to let them get in there. But I have some terrain I've got to fix up in there because there was apparently I missed getting it all flattened before. I duplicated part of the building, moved it over, and then added other bits to blend it in. So there's the layout of the shape. You can see the solar panels out behind the building so that it has power. And the first step I'm taking this time is to lay perimeter fence around the outside of the exhibit. And I'm planning on building a viewing building for this. And at this stage, I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to put it. So I concentrated on putting the fence around the part I knew I wasn't putting it on. I'm hoping in the future that this exhibit can be adapted to a safari ride, but such action may not be available till well after beta. So I have to build it as an exhibit, uh, and a simple exhibit for the animal. Uh, I don't want at this stage to make it a multi-species exhibit for this park, although that would be an option even with what we have in Alpha at the moment. As you can see, I went in and did some terrain work and added a pond for the animals before getting into uh, building it. I wanted to do this raised rock near the main pathway so that possibly if the animals move up there, guests can see them from a distance and be intrigued enough to come down, take a closer look. So a little bit of rock work. It's temperate rocks rather than tropical to suit the preferred environment of the animal, or at least suit it better. You can see that second little pond closer to the building for any particular individual animals. We're a little too shy to come out all the way. Uh, yeah, this habitat's big enough that I can afford to do that. But then it has to be because Pachyrhinosaurus is likely to want multiple individuals to be happy with its little herd. In the little data sheets, if you will, that the devs put out some time ago, Pachyrhinosaurus was being set up to have a minimum group size of 15 individuals. So very much a herd animal, very much needing a lot of space. So we'll see how that goes. Uh, I also don't have the vegetation here in Alpha that will let me replicate something closer to its preferred environment yet. So I'm going to be going a little shy on how much vegetation I put into this because it was just announced as I was narrating this with a recent devlog that coastal is coming, and that will give me some plants that will be way more suitable to conveying this environment. So I'm pleased about that. Uh, so a lot of groundwork on this, and I'm paying a little tighter attention to the groundwork this time because a fair bit of this is going to be open. And part of that is because I'm thinking about that potential safari ride in the future so that there will be space to lay uh, track if that's what it uses, but certainly space for the safari cars to move through portion of the exhibit. and get closer to the animals. But since I have no real idea of how that's going to work, there's only so much I can do in preparation for it. So I will give you a warning ahead. The actual build of the viewing platform is one of those unfortunately all too common lost video chunks, and you won't see me do the pieces piece by piece, and but I have shot a tour of that portion of the video. So my narration's a little behind the curve here, and I've moved on to the plantings in the exhibit and placing them and doing the work around the waterhole, all to give it some visual interest and just make it look in general better, as well as making it a happy environment for the animals. Don't know yet whether this park will translate directly into beta, so that I can put animals in this very specific exhibit, but with good luck, be finding out soon. I know the general beta will be Q3. Again, new announcement. So, trees go in. You'll notice these are temperate trees that I'm putting in here, and got the birches down near the water and the oaks and elms a little further away. And then bring in some pines, because this is not a true modern temperate forest these animals lived in. There was still a significant gymnosperm presence. So I want to convey some of that by bringing in plants that you wouldn't necessarily think belonged with this habitat. So we're pretty well close to what I actually have in progress video of. You'll get a little glimpse of an overview of the exhibit, and then another snatch of the start of the viewing area build with the glass fence and the pavement. So here's the tour, guys. I built an archway over it. You can see that rock just to the left of the archway, where I hope they'll come up and stand, possibly to call. And here's the patio area where visitors can come. And this is where our accessibility challenged visitors would get their chance to see the animal, and possibly up close to one of those animals broadcasting from the upper part of that rock. There's a standoff so the animals can't get to the glass, because that glass is too weak to hold them in. So we don't want them coming through there. So obviously there's going to be some decorations on that wall in the future, and at this point I had forgotten to put in an information screen there, also a necessity. Up the stairs to the main viewing platform, and again, sparsely decorated. It's mostly cover for our visitors as they come to see the animals. And the view off the back side is to the untamed part of the park's property. Not much to see out there. Oops, I see I didn't get a panel quite in the right place. On the habitat side, the railing is reinforced with a mesh to keep children from slipping through and falling into the exhibit. And there's fencing serving as a catch barrier and a little bit of a standoff below there. It is canted so that anything that lands on them will roll toward the building rather than out into the exhibit. So, a little sparse habitat. It looks to me a little bit like parts of Alaska, where the plants find enough water and shelter to get through the colder parts, and a lot of open space. Since I don't have things like mosses yet or low-growing ferns to add to this, although some of them will come with coastal, the groundwork is still a little bare. So there it is. It's ignore the exhibit that was built since I did the main build on this, and plenty of space for them to roam around, a couple of high points where we can add some visual interest for the viewers, both our guests in the game and anyone who would come to visit the park. And then the viewing platform itself, an open air but covered place for our guests to get to see the animals, and possibly in the future some other animals from exhibits not yet made. So I'd like to thank you all again for dropping by and visiting Dinobarb's Park Builds. If you like what I'm doing, like the videos, subscribe. I'd appreciate it and would encourage me to keep up doing these things. Obviously, I'm going to keep doing this through beta because I'm enjoying it. So, Dinobob signing out. Be well, stay safe. Bye now.